Greetings, everyone, and welcome to episode 20 of Teaching Tales, the podcast all about sharing stories from the world of education. I'm Brent Coley, your host, and joining me today, super excited because this is a man with super positivity, super energy, and that man is none other than John Eick. John, how you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing great, brother. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm a long-time listener, first-time caller, and just super excited to be here, man. Episode 20. That seems like a momentous occasion. I'm glad to be here, man.
Honored to have you break the second decade, so to speak. No, is that right?
Right. Yeah. If you do one a year for 20, that's second decade.
There we go.
Hey, quick disclaimer for you and all your amazing listeners. I'm broadcasting live with you poolside on a Sunday because I promised my daughter to take her out. So if at some point you hear a splash in the background or a set of screams, that's just good times on a Sunday.
I love it. Well, we appreciate you taking the time, man. And we'll try to make this as quick as possible, so maybe you can get in a little pool time as well. But hey, for those not familiar with your amazing work, just give listeners a little background. Who is John? What do you do? And so on.
Yeah. I mean, take it from the inner circle out. I'm honored to be married to an amazing educator, Christina Eick. I got 3 fantastic kids. And I am the executive director of Westlake Charter School. We're a kindergarten through 8th grade independent charter school. So I have 2 fantastic principals that work for me and a couple of directors. I work directly for the board. So for all intents and purposes, I'm the CEO or the superintendent of a 1,000-seat K Sacramento, California. And I'm like the luckiest guy you'll meet. I stumbled into this edu business and have never looked back. For 20 years, my 20th year. This is episode 20. That's perfect. Yeah, 20 years in the business. Episode 20. That's me in a nutshell. I dig what I do, and I don't think I'll stop doing it till I'm done.
Well, I'm thrilled to have you on because what you and I, when we talked before we started recording, because I just met you, I think, for the first time at the Lead 3 Symposium.
Isn't that funny? I walked over you. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I know you from Twitter. You're like, yeah, I know you. It was our first in real person meeting. That was awesome. I'm so glad we hooked up at Lead. That was a great little conference too.
Yes, it was. And just hanging out with you and your session, although I missed your session and I'm totally bummed because everybody was raving about it, but I've gone online and I've watched you. You are so positive and so encouraging, and your podcast is the same way, and I love it. So we thought, hey, what better topic, what better types of stories to share for this episode than the power of a thank you, the power of encouraging words and going out of your way to tell somebody that you appreciate them and that type of thing, because you can't underestimate the value of an encouraging word. Am I correct?
Yeah. Let's just spend the next couple minutes riffing on ways that we love to celebrate, thank, and honor the people in this industry, or even heck, people outside the industry. I like to keep things positive. That's kind of definitely my jam. But I tell you what, it's somewhat selfish. I mean, the more positive you are, the more edu kudos you dish out, the more the people around you feel appreciated, and the harder they work, and the more they do for kids. So I mean, I say it's selfish because the truth is, like, if you just walk around with a great attitude and thanking everybody for what they do, then everyone feels their cup's full, and they can get through their day a little better and a little stronger and do that little extra for everybody around them. So I'm into it, man. Let's riff on ways to make people feel appreciated.
Well, and absolutely. When you just said that, it reminded me, I've got a teacher, 5th grade teacher, and he just finished his induction process, the 2-year, formerly known as BITSA. And one of the things that I was encouraging him, we had our colloquium where he was finishing up, and I was talking about how he is so encouraging with his students. They will run through a brick wall for him because he loves them so much, and they know that he loves them. And I don't have discipline problems from his class because they don't want to disappoint him because he's so encouraging.
Yeah, I'm telling you, we think that we need classroom management techniques or particular devices to make kids sit in straight rows and listen when we talk. if for my 20-year career, what I've seen works absolutely best is you show kids the respect that they deserve because they're little human beings, and human beings deserve respect. And everybody says, oh, you have to earn it. No, you don't. Like, you're born into respect. I really believe it's a human right. Like, if you're a human being and you walk through my door, I will honor you and I will respect you. And I will bet you that if you start from there, that comes directly back. And then you can facilitate a classroom of learning where respect is kind of mutual. But I think it's okay to be the one that starts it. I was an old high school guy for a long time. I worked at a high school, and I felt like some of the high school staff were like, hey, these kids got to come in and earn my respect. I'm like, well, then you're never going to get it. Like,
Exactly.
you start with you tell a 14-year-old, if you say you first, it isn't going to happen. But if you start first, you would be blown away. If you start with a place of honor and respect, the kids will give it right back to you. I spent much of my career in a large urban high school where, hey, gang violence was a reality in the community, and people lived some pretty hard lives. But if they walked into my classroom and I gave them love and respect off the bat, they were so blown back sometimes that they're like, who is this guy? And immediately my class was never a problem. You know, those kids always did well with me. So I love it, man. Give your kids respect. Whether they're kindergartners or seniors in high school, man, you give it first and they'll give it back.
I had a situation when I was an assistant principal at a middle school, exactly what you just said. One of our kiddos who was one of our tougher kiddos who would badmouth some of the aides and stuff like that. But one day I just talked to him. I said, dude, what, why? And he said, Mr. Coley, you give me respect, so I respect you. That aide that I just talked back to, he doesn't respect me.
Right.
I talk back to him. Now, it's not an excuse. We don't want him to do that.
Sure.
But it shows that he never gave me issues. He never talked back to me out of his mouth, because, Mr. Coley, you respect me. Like you said, it doesn't. Yeah. You start it. Don't expect a 14-year-old to start it. You start it.
Yeah, you start with you go first. It ain't gonna happen. Hey, we just went through Staff Appreciation Week a couple weeks back in my organization, and we squished teachers and staff all together and said, look, let's just go nuts. We're all the grown-ups here working hard for the kids. Let's take a week and just do it right for all of us. And I put out a Google form to all of my parents, and then the form comes in, and it had an opportunity to celebrate anyone in the organization. Then I slipped it out to some of the staff and said, hey, celebrate each other. We had about 1,000 responses on this Google form. And each one of them, it just said, say your name. So you're like from the Eick family. Click on who you want to celebrate, Mrs. Smith, and then leave a positive note. Hey, Mrs. Smith, thanks. You were my second grade teacher. You were awesome. So then we had about 1,000 responses, and I do this little gig where I mail merge it out to email, and then everybody on Friday gets an email. On the email, it says, Dear Mrs. Smith, because it's mail merged, right? Dear Mrs. Smith, hey, just want to say thanks for all you do for our school. I asked a few families and friends maybe to share some stories about you, and here's what they said below. And then it merges below all the things. Well, some people got 2 or 3, and some people got 5 or 6, and some people got 15. Some people got 30 responses. And I can't tell you, man, like instructional aides, like walking up to my office, knocking on the door, Mr. Eick, you got a second? Wow, I'm just an instructional aide. I never received anything like that, Mr. Eick. And I'm like, hey, man, we appreciate you. Look at how many people told stories about you. And so, it's funny because you said instructional aide. Our teaching staff, our instructional staff, all of our instructional aides, our front office staff, we have a crazy, powerful staff. They're so good. But to see people who maybe didn't realize how appreciated they were, to get some direct appreciation from the families they serve and from the teachers or other staff. So like teachers are dropping in the Google form, hey, thanks to Mrs. Smith, my instructional aide, she's amazing. And then Mrs. Smith's like, wow, right? Principals dropping in nuggets, vice principals, everybody appreciating everybody for just 1 week. And you get about 1,000 responses, and minds were blown. And so, just kind of thought as I jumped on today, it was just another way to share. When you thank people, whether it's in person, in a note, dropping a Post-it note, they appreciate it. It goes far.
Oh, shoot. As you're telling me that, I'm like jotting this down thinking, oh my gosh, guess what I'm doing as soon as we finish recording here? I mean, what a great opportunity to do something as simple like a Google form there.
Oh, yeah.
The power. Go ahead.
If you make it easy. I'm sorry. No. It's really powerful. If you make it easy for people to celebrate one another, they'll take advantage of it, right? And so, I mean, it's hard for the Jones family to get out the letterhead and scroll out a handwritten letter and send it in and make sure but if you're like, hey, here's a link in the weekly blog post that you read every week, just click here and drop a nugget. Oh, people do it. I mean, over 1,000 responses. And this is the third year I've done it, so this keeps getting bigger and bigger. I think the first year we did it, we had about 700 responses. So, yeah, make it simple and then make sure that feedback gets back to people, man.
And I mean, we do something. We have our assistant principal. We got a new assistant principal, Cassie Caldwell. If you're listening, you're awesome. She brought on board this year a staff shout-out board. So right in our hallway, right outside the teacher's lounge, she's got an entire bulletin board set up with Post-its. That just pens and Post-its blank there. Anytime someone does something that you appreciate, just, hey, Donnie, thanks for being flexible with the Chromebooks during CASP testing or something. Bang, you slap that Post-it up there. Somebody walks by and, ooh, new Post-it. Ooh, my name's on that. That could buoy that person for a week. It's been awesome. Right.
I love the form of guerrilla celebration, right? Where it's like an ambush celebration. Like they're just walking by the board. They're like, whoa, nobody told me I had a note here, but hey, keep your eye on it. Your name may pop up there. That's awesome.
It may pop up next. And I'm just thinking, I'm actually working on a blog post right now because I don't know about you. I love my job. And I know you love your job.
Yeah, dude, it's good.
You love your job. I love my job. But if I'm being honest right now, I'm tired. I got 3 weeks left in our school year. I love what I do, but I'm drained. And the other day, Monday night, 9:32, I'm checking my email before going to bed, and exactly. And in my email box is a message from one of my parents, one of my students' parents. 4 sentences. 4 short, nothing, no long 5-paragraph essay, 4 short sentences that basically just said, Mr. Coley, I'm thinking about you.
Right.
Thank you for what you do for our kids, and I appreciate what you're doing.
So, yeah.
And my response, I mean, I teared up because it was exactly what I needed to hear at that time. 4 sentences probably took him 120 seconds to write, yet literally it buoyed me for the rest of the week.
Well, it's funny because you keep using the phrase buoyed, and I don't know that I've used that term before. I'm going to steal it from you for sure because it's exactly what it does. It buoys you, and we watch a buoy bobbing as the waves come in. That buoy pops up to the top.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how big a wave gets, it always boing pops. And that's the deal: is we get caught in the waves of education, the crumbling, crashing, turning. Oh my goodness, turmoil of our week, and something's got to buoy you up. And so I love it. I love a 4-sentence email from a kid. I heard one of your podcasts. I'm not sure if it was with Corey, but you talked about leaving a Post-it note on somebody's desk, and it ended up next to their computer monitor. Wasn't that you? That was,
yes,
you, right?
Yeah.
I had a similar experience where I left a goofy Post-it note. I drew a little picture on it. It was kind of silly, and literally it was by that woman's phone in her room. Like I'm talking years later, 2 and 3 years later. And it was said something like, "You're awesome." And I thought, oh my goodness, if that Post-it note is that special to you, I'm not celebrating you enough. Like you should have 50 Post-it notes because she's awesome. But I mean, if that's the buoy that pulls you up is somebody dropping a Post-it note or somebody dropping an email, and we know it's true. And you're right. At the end of the year with 3 weeks left, we all need a little.
We all do. The teachers, instructional aides, those in the kitchen. I mean, my goodness, talk about the hazard pay and our crossing guards and things like that. You just reminded me of that Post-it. It's like, dang, I need to get a new Post-it out there, and like every single day, I need to I need to burn through that pad of Post-its in a week.
Right. I got to tell you, and this is selfish, but I'm going to say it because I don't care. Look, I spend a lot of time celebrating our amazing teachers and instructional aides. I celebrate kids. Our principals are doing the weekly or the daily phone call, catch you doing something good of the day. I mean, we spend a lot of time. I got to encourage anybody who's listening, probably just my mom, maybe your mom, whoever's listening, hey, it's okay to celebrate an administrator. It's okay to – your principal's working hard. Like I got 2 principals who work for me. I was a principal for a long time. And it's not the only hard job. It's just one of many hard jobs in our organization. But, there's a teacher appreciation week and there's a staff appreciation week. There's always things. It's okay every once in a while, people, to walk in your principal's office and be like, man, your job looks so different than mine. And I I don't always appreciate it, but thank you for doing hard work for our school. Because I know a lot of principals who didn't make the cut because they just got burnt out because they just like good teachers that don't make it. You watch this amazing teacher put their heart and soul into this job, and 4 years later they're like, I don't know if this is the industry for me, because they didn't feel appreciated. They didn't feel like all their investment of their life, it was getting paid back. And it happens to admin too. And so I would just say to everybody listening, appreciate your staff, appreciate your teachers, appreciate your kids and your parents, but every once in a while, throw that bone. Don't forget to appreciate your principal, because it's hard to know what that seat looks like till you sat in it. And I know you're sitting in it right now. Are you in your fourth year principal?
Finishing up 4th year, yeah.
Yeah, right. And you're not dead, which means you're winning. Like, that's a tough job, man. The principal gigs, and it's fun. You and I love our jobs, but it should come with a Post-it note every once in a while.
But it is hard. And again, I think, like you said, I mean, looking back, I didn't tell my principals how much I appreciated them as much as I should have. Because like you said, I never knew what they were going through.
Right.
Now I do. And it's like, oh my gosh. Right. When I do get a thank you, it's like, wow, I can keep doing this. I can keep.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to send a Post-it note today to all my old principals, because as you said that, it made me realize when I was I never sent a Post-it note to my principal. Now I'm like, oh, I owe all those guys Post-it notes. I will send them Post-it notes. Hey, one nugget on why, because some people will sit out in the audience and say, yeah, it's cute, you want to celebrate everybody, but what's it really good for? I got turned on to this concept by Dr. Steve Rieger. He's out of Los Angeles. This guy's a genius. He came in and did a presentation at a school I was working at, and he talked about collective efficacy. He says collective efficacy is the collective belief by a body of people that they can accomplish that which they set out to achieve. So, like, do we at this school as adults believe that we can accomplish the goals that we set out to achieve? And he says, if you can measure collective efficacy, it actually is a better indicator of a school's success than any other measurement. Zip code, income level, diversity of ethnicity, like collective efficacy is the number one factor in whether or not a school will or will not achieve. And a lot of that comes down to leadership, but a lot of it comes down to, like, do we believe that we can do what we say we're going to do? Yeah. And what happens in an organization is when just the principals running around Post-it notes, we start to get a surface layer of belief, like, oh, we must be doing a pretty good job because I got a Post-it note this month. But say, like, all the department chairs and the principal were doing it. Hey, I got 2 Post-it notes this month. But what if everybody was doing it? All the teaching staff, all the principals, hey, I got 3 Post-it notes. My friend got 6 Post-it notes. That kid got 2 Post-it notes. And what if everybody in the organization committed to celebrating each other? Well, what would happen is you'd have like 100 adults maybe all celebrating one another, and celebration will be ubiquitous. And you start to look around and go, man, we're always celebrating. Awesome. And if we're pretty awesome, we could probably accomplish those goals we have to set. And what happens is collective efficacy rises on the back of the power of celebrations and thank yous. So, I mean, people think, oh, it's kind of fluffy conversation. You should say thank you a lot. It's legit. If you're working in a place where people appreciate each other, that place is going to succeed and kids are going to benefit. Because as a teacher or any staff member, if I feel appreciated and I'm being told I'm doing a good job, then I'm going to do a good job and my kids are going to benefit because of it. So, just a little science behind the why, right?
No, it's this, like, this excuse me, self-fulfilling prophecy. I mean, appreciation is the fuel that drives us. I mean, and they say, they've done research studies that say that why do people leave the profession? Not because it's hard, because they don't feel appreciated. That's why people leave the profession.
Totally. I believe it.
You mentioned earlier the good news call of the day. I wanted to share. I mean, I did one of those. It was my goal this year to do one every day, and I'm going to publicly tell everybody I have not met that goal. But that's still my goal. But I had one a little while ago. I have a first grader who teacher said, Brent, I got your good news call for the day. Kiddo had really, 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 really been working hard, and his reading just really really skyrocketed. She called me in. I pulled him outside. He brought his book out to me. He read his book. I was amazed. He was reading some really cool. It was a science, a real interesting thing. I think it was on insects or something like that. And he read it to me, and I gave him a high five and a side hug, and we called his mom. And the teacher since has said, Brent, I got to tell you, that phone call home, that digital Post-it, so to speak, right? He has just, since that phone call, he has continued. He's even worked harder since that phone call. And when I see that kiddo waiting for his ride out in front of the school every day, he is still beaming because of that phone call. And it just goes to show the power of, it's a phone call. That's all it is.
But it's golden acknowledgement, man. It's acknowledgement of hard work and payoff, and like, I knew you could do it. That is golden. I love it. I mean, celebrating kids, celebrating staff, celebrating digitally, celebrate with a Post-it note. One thing we haven't mentioned, right, is social media, right? Like, in my organization, we have only 55 teachers, and there's 61 staff members who are on Twitter. And we made a push to say, hey, let's try and get on Twitter and see what happens. And what happens is we're telling the story of our school on social media, but basically the story of our school is, hey, look how awesome my kids are doing today. Look how awesome Mrs. Smith is doing today. Hey, retweet Mrs. Smith doing awesome. So I mean, what's happening is if social media can be used as a platform for praise, it's doing its job.
Yeah.
Like, it's called social media because it's social, and a social accepted engagement is to celebrate one another. Like, what drives me nuts is when people use social media as, like, selfish media, like, whether it's like, it's not called promoting media, it's called social media. Like, get out there, don't just focus on promoting yourself, promote other people on social media. And so I really feel like, as you look around an organization, a school, and if everybody on social media is using that media to promote each other, to say, man, look at Brent, hey, look at Chad, hey, look at Mrs. Smith, that's when social media starts to pay the dividends that I think that the platform is worth having. It is awesome to see people use that as a celebration tool, because there's something cool about, like, hey, I look at my Twitter account and there's one teacher has celebrated me, but 4 teachers have retweeted that celebration. And you're like, wow, that is like the digital Post-it note. I just think it's worth talking about.
And it's share and the potential of sharing. Wow, look what my kids did today. Another teacher sees that and says, "Oh, wow, that's cool. I'm going to try that in my class." And now you've totally the exponential effect potentially of influencing students all over the world.
So, and again, it's collective efficacy. It says that we as teachers, if Mrs. Smith can do that with her kindergarten kids, then I believe that we can do that with kindergarten kids. So I will then try it with kindergarten kids, right? I love the collective efficacy aspect of taking a picture of something that I'm doing with kids and putting it on their social media, because it says then it can be done. You can't say it can't be done now. I love that. I love that piece.
Don't. What's the quote that says the person don't tell me it can't be done because you're interrupting the person that's doing it, or something something along those lines. That's not me. I saw that somewhere, but no, John, man, this is good stuff. I'm like heading out to create that Google form to send home to my parents to celebrate our staff. I tell you seriously, if no one else is listening, I'm doing at least that.
Yeah. And I got some good nuggets on how to mail merge. Maybe I'll put a blog post together and I'll send it your way so that you can, steal a few parts of the tool that work out pretty well. Yeah, man, there's so many good ways to collect celebration and praise for the people who deserve it, right? I mean, in the era of crowdsourcing, we've all become experts in crowdsourcing information. Let's crowdsource this information. This is highly personal information, right? Let's put it to good use. Say, hey, give us stories about our teachers. Give us some. Last year we did this thing where we made a big timeline at the end of the year. We posted up on the wall. It was an August through June timeline. And then we just put 1,000 printed pictures. Like, we just printed pictures out, and we put them on the table and said, hey, pick up a picture, pick up a Post-it note, write something about that picture and slap it up on the timeline somewhere. At the end of our morning breakfast at the end of the year, we had a timeline of the whole year of people celebrating each other. Oh, this is when Whitney did that one presentation. Oh, this is when Jen did that one. We went to that conference together. You just looked on this timeline and you're like, hey, it was a good year. So I guess this is how we should wrap today's show up. It is the end of the school year, and there is no better time than right now to stop, look through your Twitter feed, look at your favorite hashtag, the hashtag for your school, or look through your and just scroll backward. Take 5 minutes out of your life and be reflective. What do you have to be appreciative about? Like, if I look through my Twitter feed of the last year, I can appreciate all 62 staff members that are on Twitter and all they've contributed to our school and to our kids. I mean, there's so many events and so many opportunities. And maybe just go through and take 5 minutes and make a little note, and then either give out Post-it notes or just bump into people and say, hey, I was looking back to my Twitter feed, and you tweeted in November that one thing, that talent show thing you did. I just want to say thanks. That was awesome. What a great what a great year we had. Because the archive's out there. Let's take a moment at the end of the year to reflect and then remind people what an impact they had on this year. So they go off to recharge and refuel for the summer. They have in the back of their mind, hey, man, I did some good stuff this year, and it was recognized. That's probably a great way to end the year.
And you just said that there's no statute of limitations on when the great thing happened. Go back, like you said, November. Right. Hey, when you did it in November, it's not too late. You can still tell them, okay. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's awesome. Boy, I'm like totally encouraged now. So thank you, John. I knew you were going to do this for me, and hopefully anyone listening, again, post it, email, text, Voxer, whatever the method is, tell somebody thank you, that you appreciate them, whether it's your instructional aide, your students' parents, your principal, like John said, because, again, we're people too. So, I mean, we all appreciate it, and everybody needs it. Everybody needs it. Amen. Well, John, where can anyone who is not already following you on Twitter and on the web and your podcast, let people know how they can connect with you?
Yeah. Sure, for sure. I mean, Twitter's it, man. Right? Come find me on Twitter. It's at John_Eick. E is in Edward, ICK. It says John_Eick. And then I've got a podcast called Learn with John Eick. And you can find all that stuff at learnwithjohneick.com. I got my blog on there, my podcast on there, all my sessions that I've presented the last few years. I probably got 50 sessions up there from different Q conferences and whatnot. But if there's anything on there that I could do to help anyone out there, honestly, like, reach out to me on Twitter. I'll share resources. I'd love to jam with anyone for anything edu related, because I'm a big old edu nerd. I mean, I love the power celebration, but all things edu right now are kind of what's jamming in my life. So reach out and let's get together and talk anything #edu awesome.
Oh, that's awesome. And for anyone who's not already heard John's podcast, it's awesome. I mean, hopefully you feel reached out like me listening to this. Listen to his, because it's just constant boosts of encouragement, resources, and all that good stuff. So, John, thank you, my friend. Thanks. Enjoy the rest of the day with the family at the pool.
I appreciate it. Thank you. And I'm honored to be here.
Absolutely. I'll talk with you later. And for everybody, thanks so much for listening. Appreciate it. Subscribe in iTunes. Subscribe in Google Play. If you like what you hear, give us a like. Give us a comment. That's encouragement. We could use that too. I would appreciate it.
That's right.
That's not why we're doing it, but it does help me keep going, and it encourages me to keep doing it. So, again, thanks everyone for listening. Really appreciate it. And until next time, have a good one.